Good morning. This is the time and place for zoning cases hearing for July 1st, 2020. My name is Bradley Collin. I will be conducting the hearing as the hearing officer. We have one case scheduled for today, and due to the COVID-19 novel coronavirus and health recommendations from the LA County Health Department, this hearing is being conducted as a public This hearing is being conducted virtually with no members of the public present. The public is encouraged to watch and participate from the safety of their homes to practice social distancing. The meeting can be viewed on local cable TV and is being streamlined online on the city's website at www.glendaleca.gov. For public comments and questions during the meeting, please call 818-937-8100. Again, that's 818-937-8100. City staff will be submitting the questions and comments in real time to the appropriate person. I'd like to inform everyone that the official proceedings of the planning hearing officer's hearing will be televised live and viewed online on the city's website. Notification of this hearing was accomplished by use of public notices which were mailed to property owners and occupants located within 500 feet of the subject property, physically posted on the site in question, and posted in the local newspaper. The hearing will proceed as follows. Case planner will make a brief overview of the case, give analysis, and make a recommendation. The applicant will then come forward stating both name and address, be asked to present the case, and they'll be given a 15-minute time limit if needed. Others in support of or opposition to the application and interested parties will then be allowed to come forward or call in, again clearly stating both name and address with the 3-minute time limit. Lastly, the applicant will be given the opportunity to make any closing comments if desired in response to any testimonies given by preceding speakers. The hearing will be closed and the case taken under submission, or a decision may be made. After the hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing and will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and all persons who responded to the public notice, either by speaking at this hearing or by submitting written responses and having provided their name and mailing address. The date of the decision will be the date on the letter. Under the provision of Title 30, Chapter 30.50 of the Glendale Municipal Code, a parking reduction permit, which is the application we have before us today, shall be granted if the required findings are present. There are 4 groups of findings within the parking reduction permit section. The applicant need only comply with one group. For this application, the applicant is using subsection D. The following findings are: the parking need for the land use is not as great as for similar land uses, or the parking requirement for the land use established in the zoning code is greater than what will be needed by the land use, and the intent of the parking regulations in compliance with all other applicable provisions of the chapter is met. And third, sufficient parking would be provided to serve the use intended and potential future uses of the subject parcel. If the evidence presented in the application and at the hearing meets the criteria just described, then the hearing officer can either approve or impose conditions for approval on the case in question. If the findings in fact are not evident, the request will be denied. The case we have on the agenda today is a parking reduction permit located at 3628 Foothill Boulevard, case number PPRP 2003777. At this time, I would like to ask our case planner, Ms. Pruitt, to give a brief presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Collin. Good morning, and good morning, members of the public. I do have a PowerPoint presentation. As you mentioned, the case before us today is a parking reduction permit request for the building located at 3628 Foothill Boulevard. The request is to allow a change of use from general office to medical office without providing 5 additional parking spaces as required by code. As a note, the project is exempt from CEQA as a Class 1 existing facility since it involves a negligible expansion of an existing use. As you can see in this photo, the building is a small, approximately 2,400 square feet, two-story building with the upper floor facing the street and the lower floor accessible by the parking lot, which is located at the bottom of a down-sloping driveway. The site is located on a stretch of Foothill Boulevard, zoned as commercial hillside, surrounded by low-density residential. The existing site has 4 parking spaces, but the project is required to upgrade the parking to meet Americans with Disability Act requirements. So one of the parking spaces will be converted to an access space for ADA van parking. This reduction of 1 parking space for ADA purposes is allowed administratively by approval of the Director of Community Development. The lower level of the building will be used as an administrative office for the in-home medical services operation of the proposed business. The upper floor of the building, with street access, will be used by the part of the business that operates as a medical office with patient visitation. A request for comments about the proposed project was circulated to several different city departments, and they expressed no concerns with the project, and no public comments were received about the project. As more fully described in the staff report, staff believes the findings of fact can be demonstrated. The main arguments presented in the staff report relate to 4 basic facts. Number 1, the first floor will remain as a general office use, so the true intensification of use is only happening on the second floor, which is just over 1,000 square feet and isn't anticipated to create a negative parking impact. Number 2, the hours of operation of the first and second floor will be staggered, so they are not operating at the same time, and thus the parking demand will be minimized. And number 3 and 4, even if we assume the change of use on only 1 floor would intensify the parking, the true intensification would be only 3 spaces, not 5, and it was verified that at least 3 spaces are available on the street. The conditions of approval include standard conditions such as obtaining a business registration certificate and properly maintaining the premises, and 2 additional conditions to ensure the business operations adhere to the hours of operation and physical layout as presented for this approval. With that, staff recommends approval of the parking reduction permit subject to the proposed conditions of approval. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Ms. Pruitt. I think we are good for now. We have 1 caller at this time. I'm going to go ahead and open the hearing, and we'll take the caller. Mr. Nazarian, are you there? Garo? Garo, are you there? You want to? Let's not. At this time, we're going to wait for the.
Garo, we thought we had you on the line, but the hearing officer is calling your name.
Try again.
Garo, I have to hang up, and he's calling you on. I don't know if did you already call into the city? Okay, can you call back and have him put you on hold? Okay.
Is there someone here? Hello?
He's calling back. The call was lost. He's calling back.
What's that? We're waiting for our caller to call back. We're having some technical difficulties with the line. The applicant's supposed to be calling back in. Line 1's not blinking. Line 2 is blinking. It should be Garo first. Mr. Nazarian, is that you?
Yes, good morning. This is Karl Nazarian with Domus Design. I am the applicant for this application. Can you hear me?
Yes. Keep going.
Okay. This project that it has been presented by the planner, nicely presented. Just I wanted to make a short presentation to mention that this building, it's a single tenant. It's operating in two parts. The upper floor, which is a doctor office, which has, as you see on the plans, has only 2 exam rooms. And on the first floor, that is for the administrative office, for the in-home services that the doctor provides for the in-home, patients. And the operation hours is very limited, even though on the condition it says the doctor's office Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. But the Wednesday, the office is closed. The Wednesday, they are not operating. And the only thing that I want to add, that Saturdays 9 to 2 operation is forgotten in the report. And the first floor, it's operating 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. After the in-home services, they come in the office for the paperwork. And as you see on these days with this COVID situation, the whole lifestyle, it has been changed. And now, the most of the doctors, they are providing telemedicine, which actually it has been accepted and welcomed by the patients, which prefer to do telemedicine, and they are going to stay that way. And most of the people, which just for a consultation, whatever they do, telemedicine, they are not coming in the office. And the other thing, which I did present the documents to show that most of the patients, they are using, Lyft, Uber, or Access services, and there are 2 other pharmacies in the neighborhood within mile or 2 miles from this office, which they provide. Hello?
Keep going.
Hello?
I'm here. We can hear you.
Okay. There are pharmacies that they provide free transportation for the patients, for their customers, which they are patient with Dr. Avanesian. And the office is located in a part of the Foothill Boulevard, which is not really very busy, and always on-street parking spaces are available in the same block. We are not going too far, but in the same block. I don't see any, this project has been presented by the Cassandra, has a sufficient, parking spaces. And just for additional fact, as you see on my site plan, the very end parking stall, even if it's needed, even though it's not by code, they can use a tandem parking there to adding, to have one more parking space. And if you have any other question, I will be more than happy to answer to your questions.
I do have one question, or a clarification, I guess. You mentioned something about the Saturday hours from 9 to 2. Is that both for the medical and the
No, no,
general
no.
office, or just the general office?
No, administrative office, Saturday, Sunday are closed. They are not coming. Just that Saturday, 9 to 2, it's for the doctor's office,
Got
the
it.
second floor operation.
Got it. Okay. And you've read through the rest of the conditions of approval?
Yes, I did. I don't have any other, any objections with this condition.
Okay,
It's a standard condition for this kind of application.
We have another caller online, so if you want to hang on somehow and listen in case you need to make any sort of response or rebuttal.
Sure. I will be in line. Okay.
All right, thank you. Hang on.
Hello?
Good morning. You reached the planning hearing officer meeting.
Yes, I'm calling to make a comment on the planning hearing on 3628 Foothill Boulevard.
Can I get your name and address, please, for the
Sure.
record?
My name is Ken Chafin. My address is 3624 Foothill. I'm in the adjacent property.
I'm sorry, what was the address again? I'm writing this down.
3624 Foothill Boulevard.
Got it, thank you.
Mhm. I'm on the adjacent property, the property to the east of the project.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have some concerns. The parking on Foothill Boulevard here is a real problem. It's a huge problem. My customers have been complaining for years. And the problem is this project is taking away one space from the building and increasing its parking use. The claimed mitigation is they claim that there's 3 spaces available by looking at Google. They must have done it in the middle of the COVID-19 thing because the parking around here is seriously impacted during the day, during the middle of the day. And my concern is the 3 parking spaces that this project is going to have will barely cover the employees. The employees are going to end up parking on the street, and all of the customers. And the real it's clear there's a problem. The mitigation is, most of the customers are going to be using Uber or Lyft. You really don't know that, or that they're going to limit the hours. So my question is, if you're going to limit the hours, what happens if the hours change down the road? How does that affect things?
Well, if this gets approved hypothetically, they would have to come back and get a new parking reduction permit because
So in other words, if they change the hours, you would cancel their parking production, and I could show it. You would cancel their parking permit.
Right, because they're getting approved based off of having different hours of operation.
Okay.
If it gets
I'm
approved.
calling just to let you know that this is going to make things worse. Another thing that would really help would be there's a loading zone painted right out in front of the place that's never used. The previous owner liked it because he had a pickup truck. And if you guys could take out the loading zone yellow curb in front of the business, that would help. That would add a parking spot.
Okay, we can.
That would help mitigate things. I have a feeling this is going to happen regardless of my opinion anyway, frankly, but I can tell you that the parking is severely impacted here. This is going to make it worse. I suspect it's going to be a medical office for here on out, and like I say, the mitigation stuff is all, everybody recognizes there's a problem, and the mitigation stuff, in my opinion, is not well thought out.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate your input.
Sure you do.
I do.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Nazarian, did you want to respond to any of that? Garo? We lost him.
Hello. You can hear me?
Yes, were you able to understand the previous speaker?
Yes. Just I wanted to add that Google views that you see is not taken from this COVID period. It's taken from the past a few years ago, 2 years ago, and the present. But as it has been presented by the planner, this building, the total building is just above 2,000 square feet, and the change of use of the second floor, which is about 1,200 square feet, by the code, be less than the 2,000 square feet. It's administratively, that change of use is allowed. And as you see, even on the basement, on the first floor, we are taking out of the floor area by adding new lobby and elevator, which even that reduces the floor area. As presented the project, even this total building, it won't be that parking intensification, use intensification for the building. And as you see, it's a very small doctor's office, only with 2 exam rooms and with a very limited operating hours. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. This time I'm going to take this case under submission. As it relates to any appeals under the appeal provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30.62 of the Glendale Municipal Code, decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the date of the decision. Anyone wishing to appeal may obtain forms and brochures on the procedures from the Building and Safety Section Permit Service Center located on the same floor of this building. The hearing is now officially closed. I'd like to thank everyone for watching. It is 9:56 on July 1st. Thank you.